Okay. Okay, what time we're in the new Sfarim? We're on page 25. So you didn't just start on that bit. You're already up to page 25. You really started ahead. Okay. So up until now, the past 2.5 years, we've been discussing Hilchot Shabbat. The next Simanim in Shulchan Aruch discuss Hilchot of Rosh Chodesh. Just like you have every week Shabbat, you have every month a Rosh Chodesh, the start of the month, the head of the month. Rosh Chodesh was given, Rosh Chodashim, right, was given to the Jewish court to decide when is Rosh Chodesh, which used to be done by the mitzvah. Maria, people would see the moon conjunction or not see the moon or start seeing the moon, right? And they would come and say what they saw, and the Beit Din would listen, and the Beit Din would decide, not always based on the testimony that came. Chachamim, the Sanhedrin, the Beit Din had ability to decide when they wanted Rosh Chodesh. Put the witnesses away, not listen to them, do listen to them, whatever it was, they had what they can do in order to make that. And that's perhaps the line that we say in the prayers. Shosh Galim, we say Mikadesh Israel v'hazimanim, right? Sanctifies the Jewish people and the times. Why? Because it's the Jewish people that sanctify Rosh Chodesh, right? Beit Din would decide when is Rosh Chodesh. So the Jewish people had the authority to make it when is Rosh Chodesh. Today, unfortunately, we don't have the Beit Din that can tell us when Rosh Chodesh is. So we have a calendar. Now, why is it so important to have a calendar when to have Rosh Chodesh is? The Hagim are based on when Rosh Chodesh is, right? So you have to know what's where. So let's take a look at the Rambam in Sefer HaMitzvot, a Mitzvah Taseh Kuf Nun Gimel, Mitzvah 153. Says the Rambam, source number 1 on page 25. This Mitzvah 153, it's a mitzvah that Hashem gave us, right? Lekadesh Chodashim, to be Mikadesh Chodesh, Chodashim Vishanim, in order to calculate months and years, because we have to add that month once in a while in order to keep the Pesach in the springtime. V'zohi mitzvah Kiddush HaChodesh. And this is Kiddush HaChodesh. That's what it says in the pasuk. Rosh Hadashim. It's giving us the ability to make Rosh Chodesh. Now he says, today we don't have Beit Din Hagadol. So the same way we have no more korbanot, we also have Batala of Hari'ah, the testimony of the new moon, right? Now v'hayadua that the Beit Din Hagadol, on page 26, when it was in Eretz Yisrael, they would be setting up the month and setting up the year. And what about now? What about now? Oh, so what's that? But let's see what the calendar does. Monim, we count that what? However, Shebeyadenu Amrim Shezeh Hayom Rosh Chodesh V'Zeh Hayom Yom Tov Loi Mipnei Cheshbonenu, not because of our Cheshbonot Nikvu Yom Tov Mishum Panim El Mipnei Shebeit Din Hagadol Shebeit Yisrael Kevar Kaveuhu Zeh Hayom Rosh Chodesh or Yom Tov. Very important line of the Rambam. The Rambam says,
the Rambam.
Yeah, the Rambam says that when Hillel put the calendar into place, he was already Mikadesh all the Rosh Chodeshes for all the future. Because it has to come from the Beit Din Hagadol. Exactly. So for whatever longer the calendar goes, based on the calendar that they put into place, all future months were already Mikadesh that way. But I don't know. When we get there, we'll figure it out. Obviously, we'll have longevity till then. All right.
Why? They thought the 2000 also everything gonna fall down.
Oh wow!
Nothing happened.
So look again. El mipnei shebetin hagadol sheberet Yisrael kvar kavauhu zeh hayoim rosh chodesh hayom tov. It already made it.
They didn't make the kavanah for this.
That's what the Rambam says.
They just put the formula.
And he says that formula was Mekadesh Chodesh for every Rosh Chodesh in the future. He says otherwise it can't happen. It has to come from the Beit Nagadol. So they did that when setting up the future calendar. They Mekadesh all the future Rosh Chodesh. Right, and that's what he says. Or Pnei Amram Shazeh Hayom Rosh Chodesh Hayom Tov Rosh Chodesh Hayom Tov Ben Shayata Polatam Zot Becheshbon or Beriah. So the Betin, we know they could make Rosh Chodesh even if there was no, what's it called, sightings. So they didn't want to listen to it, they could make it. So they have the right to make Rosh Chodesh whenever, forever. So all the future Rosh Chodeshes are based on the Beit Nagadol when they set up that calendar.
Yeah, but they can make it.
That was Hillel,
didn't come.
a Nasi.
Rabbi.
Yeah.
They can make the Rosh Chodesh only if they didn't come.
Right, so you don't have Edom anymore.
If it's 31.
You don't have Edom anymore. You don't have Edom anymore.
Exactly.
So therefore, they're able to make Kash all future Rosh Chodeshes. That's what the Rambam said. Right, they didn't have to listen to them.
They say thank you very much.
That's right, and they do whatever they want the next day or whatever it is. So that's the power. You have the power to make Rosh Chodesh. So that's what the Rambam says out. Then you get it for the future. Okay, now that's just the idea of what Rosh Chodesh comes from. The significance of Rosh Chodesh. The Yom Tovim are all based on that. Okay, let's just see. All right, now we're on page 27. Erev Rosh Chodesh. Erev Rosh Chodesh. Now here he's going to talk about Yom Kippur cotton. But before he talks about Yom Kippur cotton, look at footnote number 4.
It's not every Erev Rosh Chodesh.
Oh, not every Erev Rosh Chodesh. Okay, most Erev Rosh Chodesh.
Only
Okay.
Pesach, like Nisan, and
some people do a Yom Kippur cotton every month.
Every month?
Yeah. On Erev, look what he writes. On Shabbat preceding every Rosh Chodesh, except for Tishrei, what do we do in the shul on Shabbat after the laning, after Haftarah, and it's going to be Rosh Chodesh? What do we do this past Shabbat? Shabbat Bevachim Birkat HaChodesh. We announce the new month. Okay, so this way everyone is aware of it. Interestingly to note, in the Siddur over here, the Siddur in the Koran Siddur over here, he writes something very, very interesting. I just want to read it to you. And I showed this to a couple of people, and there's actually a halacha based on this. This is what he says over here. Bizman ha'ga'onim, time of the ga'onim, nahagu levarech et ha'chodesh. When did they make mevarchim the chodesh? When did they do that? Berosh chodesh atzmo. On Rosh Chodesh itself, achari kiyat ha'torah. So on Rosh Chodesh, whatever day of the week it is, after reading the Torah, that's when they would announce the Rosh Chodesh.
They were right.
Every Rosh Chodesh is Kriyat Torah. You have the Kriyat Chodesh. What?
They were right, they go on him. You know why? Because if I be Hillel, you already Mekadosh the Chodeshim.
So why are you announcing it
here? Mekadosh the Chodesh.
So then it became, he writes, the Shibbolei Leket writes, then it became the minhag to do it the Shabbos before. Because everybody's there and everybody will know about it. Okay, so
only because everybody's there.
So the minhag changed again. The minhag keeps evolving. So the minhag changed, and they went from announcing it on the day to announcing it on Shabbat morning. Now, let's say the Kehillah forgot to say it on Shabbat morning. So it happened once over here. We forgot to say it on Shabbat morning. Whatever. Yeah. So it happened. So what do we do? So some say you just say it by mincha after the Sefer Torah reading.
It's only announcement.
You can do it as well. What happens if they forgot it the whole Shabbat?
It's only announcement, but there's no bracha.
You're right. Okay, but let's say
that's it.
Okay, the guy forgot it all Shabbat, and now what do they do?
So you could do it in Sunday.
So on Rosh Chodesh itself, like the Gaonim used to do, one can also announce it then. That's a Rav Victor Neven Zal. He says in his Sefer Yitzchak Yikara, he writes, you can say it on a weekday. Okay, you can say it even on Rosh Chodesh itself, that day itself. The Rivot Ephraim, on the other hand, says, listen, you can say it if a person's davening at home that Shabbat morning, right? Let's say he can't get to shul. He's praying at home. So he can say himself, it's a Hiratzon. You didn't say it. It doesn't necessarily be in Shul. So he says, if you didn't say it in Shul Shabbat, just say it on your own whenever you can say it. But technically, you have up until the day of Rosh Chodesh itself to say that that the Hiratzons, the Mevarach HaChodesh, like that. We're talking about Bekat HaChodesh, Mevarach HaChodesh, so we'll just mention a few other insights when it comes to that. We say we stand for that. Mishabra says we stand for that. Sfaradim stand, Ashkenazim stand. They stand because when they used to give Eidut, how do they do it? Standing. I am Mekadosh Chodesh, they did it standing. So therefore, in what's it called? In deference, even though we're not doing real, we're not Mekadosh Chodesh, already was Mekadosh, we still stand in that kavod. However, Rabbi Shevach showed me on Shabbat, by the Temanim, the Siddur says, Tzedavka sit.
The Temanim, they were out of everybody. They do whatever they want.
No, but I think
do sometimes like the Ashkenaz, not the Ashkenaz, sometimes not the Sfarad.
They're their own nusach. But I think there's a reason to that because they're saying you're not Mikadosh Chodesh, right? So you're Mikadosh Chodesh in the Beit Din Agadol, you would stand, right? It's not. We're not being Mikadosh Chodesh, so sit. Maybe that's their rationale. However, our minhag is to stand.
What about when they do it in shul? Why do people touch Sefer Torah? And then the guy touches behind him, and then the guy behind him touches him. Is that a minhag also, or what is that? People touch him, and then they make a line behind them.
Moroccans, they hold the Sefer Torah when they say the Yiratzon.
For the Rosh Chodesh?
Yeah.
And then someone touches him, and someone touches him?
Behind him.
Everybody touches the Sefer Torah.
I can't just say I touched the guy touching the Torah.
No, everybody touches.
Everyone has seen this? I've never seen this in my life. Really? I don't know. He doesn't bring it down here, B'chal. I guess it's a nice thing. They're showing. It's not
just
wrong.
a nice thing. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, it's a nice thing. It's not necessary. It's not a necessity.
It's only a minhag.
It's not a necessity. The next part is announcing the mulad. Right. So the mulad is the moon conjunction, which is basically when the moon is not seen, right, and when it's starting to be seen again.
Right.
The rebirth of the moon, right? The mulad. Chumavadia in his shul, they claim that in his shul they did the Birkat HaChodesh for Shabbat Mevarchim. They never mentioned the mulad. They didn't mention it. It was not mentioned.
This is minhag
Ashkenazim say.
Sfaradim,
some say, some don't.
I grew up in many Sfaradim.
Yeah.
In my time, they never said
it. Then we started saying it. The question also is what in Chutz La'aretz, which mulad to use? Are we mentioning the rebirth of the moon in Eretz Yisrael?
No.
Or are we saying the rebirth of the moon, what we see is new here in Chutz La'aretz? So some say you should always mention the one in Eretz Yisrael. Some say you should mention the one here. So some say don't say it at all. Whatever the minhag is, it's okay. No one knows what you're talking about anyway. What time is what it is? So you just
if you want to go according to Eretz Israel, so you have to keep the timing of Eretz Israel. Also.
No, just
for the
which Molad moon are we really discussing? Right?
We are in different place, you know.
But the Yom Tov is not based on our time; it's based on what's in Eretz Yisrael.
But Rosh Chodesh, it's in different time, 7 hours later, no?
Okay, fine. Everyone should say it. That's the minhag. Everyone should say it. Everyone should stand up. Either say it after Chazan, say it with the Chazan. We know that before Rosh Hashanah, we don't say it. Before Chodesh Tishrei, we don't say it. Bekaseh the Yom Hagenu, right? So it's hidden. We don't say Mevarach Chodesh on the Shabbat before Rosh Hashanah. What about Shabbat before Rosh Chodesh Av? Some say not to say don't say Birkat HaChodesh before Chodesh Av. Some say to say it, but to say Menachem Av in the Rosh in the Hiratzon. And some say no, don't say Menachem Av, say Av itself. So there are different minhagim. If to say it at all for Rosh Chodesh Av, to say it with Menachem Av, or to say regular Av as usual.
It says Menachem Av.
Yes. Most of them say Menachem Av. That is actually from the Aruch HaShulchan. Says it's common to say Menachem Av. In a leap year, when you have 2 Chodesh Adars, so in the first Chodesh Adar you should say Adar Rishon, and in the second Adar you should say Adar Sheni. So you should mention them in the Shabbat Merachim. Okay, so that is on announcing the Rosh Chodesh, the Hiratzons that come with that. Okay, now we come back into the Tzurba. There is a minhag we're going to see. Yesh nohagin, ולהתענות בערב ראש חודש, ואומרים סדר יום כיפור קטן. There is a minhag by many to fast Erev Rosh Chodesh.
Right.
And when you do that, it brings kapara kol habanot shel kol hachodesh. It brings kapara for all the sins for the entire month. Dumya the se'er Rosh Chodesh, because one of the things you bring on Rosh Chodesh Korban was the se'er hatat.
But in the tefillah, what we have in the tefillah of Rosh Chodesh, we do have the seir of Rosh Chodesh.
Yes.
And this is the kapara for the month.
In the tefillah, gamke.
And this is the kapara for the month.
Right. He says, but you could also do it with the fast beforehand. Like we say in the Musaf, we say that. In every place according to its minhag. So some places there are noheg to do Yom Kippur cotton. Chafetz Chaim used to give a mashal. Chafetz Chaim gave a mashal. He said, "What's the importance and quality of Yom Kippur cotton?" He said, "Some people they can buy a ticket and they can go from one place to a very far place. They have enough money to go from one place to the next place. Some people don't have that much money. So what do? They buy a first leg of the trip, right? And then they get to the second place, they work a little bit, they get a little money, and then they get to the next one, and to the next one, and to the next one. So said the Havetz Chaim. There's some people that can go from one Yom Kippur to the next Yom Kippur. They don't do too much sins. They have good many mitzvot. They can survive from one Yom Kippur to the next Yom Kippur. Said the Havetz Chaim, there are some people, or most people, cannot survive from one Yom Kippur to the next Yom Kippur without having a cleansing of their sins. And therefore, he did advocate and recommend a person do a Yom Kippur Katan. So every month, he gets a cleansing of his sins. So that's what Shulchan Aruch says. Kaf Chaim brings an interesting idea. He says, "Oh, near the kol zeh haseder hu lehamon ha'am." All this Yom Kippur Katan, that's for the majority of people. But if someone who is a Torah learner, v'yesh lo leiv mevim b'gamara poskim, and he can learn Gemara and poskim, ein tzarich levatel kidei lomar seder zeh. He does not have to stop his learning in order to say the Seder Yom Kippur Katan. The v'lav hachi Talmud Torah mechaper im hatshuva. The biggest form of tshuva is learning Torah. So the Kaf HaChaim is basically telling you, before you jump on the bandwagon for the Yom Kippur Katan and you fast the whole day, right? Just pay attention if your quality of learning is going to go down, right? Because your learning is a bigger kapara for you than the Seder of Yom Kippur Katan.
You know, Rabbi, I learned with the Rav many years. We learned many things. It was very chashuv Rav, and we learned. And he says, our Yiddishkeit, our Torah and mitzvot, everything what we have, we are said like each person should not have the se'ah of the avonot too high, always down. How? Mm-hmm. Because every day we do Hatanu Avinu Pashanu. So we are cleaning for the day.
Every day.
And then Rosh Chodesh, we are cleaning for the Rosh Chodesh, and then again everything goes.
Correct.
And then comes Yom Kippur for the whole year. So we are really not going too high.
Are you saying you don't need so much Yom Kippur Katan?
No.
Are you saying that's one of the processes of cleaning?
Who's doing Yom Kippur Katan?
There are people who do it.
But it's only Ashkenazim. We Sfardim, we don't do it.
Most of us don't do it, but there are people who...
You see, most of
us don't.
In your father should they do Yom Kippur Katan?
No, we don't do it.
Okay. We don't. We
in Shemini Shabbos, they had a minion that did Yom Kippur Katan. And Chaim Shalom, they're doing it?
Every month? Because they do a lot of Ashkenazim over there.
No, there is a Sephardic Yom Kippur Katan Seder as well. It's living in the Ashkenazim, but they also have it.
Yeah, I never saw.
And here he writes over here in the outside the Tzurba for a moment. He says, if a person is planning to do Yom Kippur Katan, first of all, he has to accept the fast when? The mincha, the prior day.
But
mincha, the prior day, he has to accept the fast. Like anytime you're making a separate fast, you have to accept it, the mincha, the prior day. Furthermore, he says, even if you're not fasting, since the Erev Rosh Chodesh is a day for tshuva, even if you're not fasting, you should work on tshuva that day. You know, think about tshuva, learn Musa Sfarim, do something for tshuva. He writes over here, you don't necessarily have to fast. If it's hard for you to fast, you could do Tanit Dibur. That's the best fast. Don't talk. All right? Anything out of Torah, don't talk. That's the best fast. If there is a minyan that are doing Yom Kippur Katan, they can take out a Sefer Torah and they can read Parshat Echa. Okay, they can read that on their Yom Kippur Katan fasting day. There is a different Yom Kippur Katan Seder for Ashkenazim than there is for the Sfaradim. But if one, let's say a Sephardi is in the minyan of Ashkenazim people who are doing the Seder Yom Kippur Katan, he can do the Seder that they're doing. It's preferably not to do their own. You should do with the minyan there. When can you not do a fast on Erev Rosh Chodesh? Okay, one should not fast Erev Rosh Chodesh Iyar because you're in Nisan. You're not supposed to fast in Nisan. When's the other time?
Kislev.
Erev Rosh Chodesh Tevet, because you are in Hanukkah when it's Erev Rosh Chodesh. So Erev Rosh Chodesh Iyar and Erev Rosh Chodesh Tevet should not be fasting, those two, because those two are days that you're not allowed to fast. So if you're doing the Yom Kippur Katan fast, you're really only doing it 10 months and not 12. Yeah, Erev Rosh Chodesh. You should think about tshuva again. You should give tzedakah that day. One of the ways to do tshuva is to give tzedakah. Okay. He writes over here, interestingly, Rabbi Nachson writes on the Peleoetz that it is praiseworthy to go to the mikvah on Erev Rosh Chodesh. So it's really basically what's coming out of this point. Erev Rosh Chodesh is really a time, Zman Kapara, and a person should do something. Erev Rosh Chodesh is Zman Kapara. So this week we have Rosh Chodesh. Rosh Chodesh is going to be Friday, Saturday. So Erev Rosh Chodesh is Thursday. So I'm not telling you to fast, but at least use Thursday correctly. Right, you can't fast because it's Nisan. Right, very good. He's listening. So what can you do? You can give tzedakah. You can learn something about tshuva. You can use that time, Tana Dibur. That you fast, you can do on this Thursday. I'm not telling you have to do any of these things, but I'm telling you that's all auspicious times and a working time for you to do these type of things. Okay, that is on Yom Kippur Katan. That is on Erev Rosh Chodesh. Let's now begin about Melacha on Rosh Chodesh. Okay, so everybody famously heard that ladies don't work on Rosh Chodesh.
No, they don't do kvisa.
They don't do what's kvisa?
They don't
do pressing the water.
Pressing the washing machine. Okay.
No, the washing machine.
They don't do washing machine. Okay, so let's take a look. Anyway.
Some months of 1 day and 2 days. What does that mean? 1 day, 2 days was Chodesh. What's Chodesh? A month. What does it mean?
A month at Mole, month is Chaser.
Yeah, some of the months like this, some of them like this.
So make it Chaser, and then Rosh Chodesh should be the first.
You're saying why is there a 2-day Rosh Chodesh at all? If you're saying it's Rosh Chodesh is Aleph of the month, why is there a 2-day Rosh Chodesh?
Every month should be 2 days because.
Or every month should be 1 day.
Yeah.
Why is arbitrarily one is some, one is I do not know.
No, because this is how they used to do it then, 2000.
They would make 2 days? No, they would never have a 2 day.
No, because
but every day.
They didn't.
So the idea was
they would come late.
Right. If they didn't show up, either day could have been Rosh Chodesh. So sometimes they would, do everything as Rosh Chodesh because they might tell us later in the day. Right. The Gemara says that.
Yeah.
They might have said later in the day it's Rosh Chodesh. So already had to do davening Rosh Chodesh and everything like that.
They knew, so they had to.
We have a calendar, so we know exactly what.
Yeah,
I hear you.
But you see now,
I don't know.
And we're still doing two days Chag.
It's 2 days Chag
because what? We know exactly which day is the Chag.
Svega Diyoma, but in Eretz Yisrael they also have a 2-day Rosh Chodesh.
2 days Rosh Chodesh.
Yeah,
but they don't have 2 days Chag.
Yeah, but they have 2-day Rosh Chodesh. His real question is why is there a 2-day Rosh Chodesh? If Rosh Chodesh is a day of the new month, the first day of the new month, then it should be 1 day. How is there a 2-day new month? I think I understood your question. That's your question.
Why celebrating the 31st or 30th?
Right, 30th and the 1st. It should be just 1 day. What? What do you mean? It's not Rosh Chodesh that day? You don't take out a Sefer Torah? So we're talking about Rosh Chodesh. Why do we have 2-day Rosh Chodesh? That's what Rami asked. It's a good question. I don't know the answer. I'll try to look into it. Okay. Okay. So the Gemara wants to know in Masechet Arachin. The Gemara wants to know. Let us say full Hallel on Rosh Chodesh. The Gemara wants to say, let's say full Hallel. We don't always say half a Hallel. So the Gemara says, no, you can't say a full Hallel because Rosh Chodesh is not so Kodesh because we do Melacha. The more you do Melacha on a day, the less Kedusha that day has. Right? Shabbat, no Melacha, highest Kedusha. Yom Tov has some Melacha for Eichel Nefesh, so it's a little bit of a lesser Kedusha than Shabbat. Chol Moed is even lesser, right? So Rosh Chodesh also can do Melacha, so it's in a lesser, so you don't do Halal Shalom. That's what the Gemara was saying. Later on, the Gemara is going to ask a different question. That's not going to be the reason why we don't say Halal Shalom on Rosh Chodesh. But anyway, the Gemara says you can do Melacha on Rosh Chodesh.
No?
Let's on Hanukkah you work right. Shulchan Aruch says Shulchan Aruch in source 5. Look at Shulchan Aruch on page 28. Rosh Chodesh muter ba'asiyat melacha. You can do melacha on Rosh Chodesh. The Hanashim. But the ladies shenehagot shelo la'asot melacha hu minhag tov. Ladies who have a minhag not to work on Rosh Chodesh, that is a good minhag, right? So Shulchan Aruch. So they have every day Rosh Chodesh. Agantz Chodesh is Rosh Chodesh. Okay, so it says in Shulchan Aruch the minhag that the ladies have not to work on Rosh Chodesh is a great minhag. Where is this minhag coming from? Why do they even have such a minhag? So the Torah brings it down. It's from a Perkei Eliezer. Perkei Eliezer says that in the time of the Egel Hazav, the husbands wanted to give their woman's gold also for the Egel Hazav. And the woman refused to give their jewelry. All right? You're not going to give it to the Egel, we only want to give it to the Mishkan. So the Torah brings the shame of his brother of Yehuda, that the Mo'adim nitkenu keneged avot. The Mo'adim, the Pesach, Shavuot, Sukkot are based on the avot, shlosh regalim, right? The Yud Bet Rosh Chodesh, right? Hem nikrim Mo'adim keneged Yud Bet Shvatim, and v'chechateu be'egel nitelu mehem v'nitelu l'nshotehem l'zecher shelo hayu ba'oto het. Says the Torah's brother of Yehuda, he says that really Rosh Chodesh is supposed to be a moed, supposed to be like a holiday, but they were connected to tell Shvatim, 12 months, 12 Shvatim. But since the Shvatim lost it because they did the Egel Hazav, they lost it Rosh Chodesh from being a moed. So you would have had another holiday every month, Rosh Chodesh holiday, and we lost it because we made a sin. The ladies didn't sin, therefore the ladies, so to speak, kept this no malacha done on Rosh Chodesh. What type of malacha they can't do or shouldn't do? Says the Yalkut Yosef in source 7. The washing machine, okay, and to activate it. So they could press the button. They could press the button on the washing machine. They could put the clothes into the washing machine and start it, or they can wash dishes and clean the house. So then the question is, what malacha they can't do, right? It seems like they can do everything. Joseph says they can wash the clothing, they can clean the dishes, and they can clean up the house. I'm good with that, right?
He's saying this because the Nashim used to do everything by hand.
So he's saying today, this is
because today there is a mechona, there's a machine. It's not really work.
It's not a big malacha.
It's not really work. You just put it in and push the button.
So let's take a look at the Penin Halacha. He kind of goes through the scenario, and he says, it's a mitzvah to do work in Rosh Chodesh. One should not work in Rosh Chodesh similar to the laws regarding Chol Moed. Right? He talks about the holy of the day, the less work. Okay, he goes through the 12 tribes. Woman, okay, so a woman, however, did not participate in the sin of the calf. Nimtza, so turning on to the next page on page 30, that the woman had more kedusha on Rosh Chodesh. Therefore, they can't do more work. The woman has to do less work because they have more kedusha on Rosh Chodesh. Because we sinned, we lost that kedusha, but the women still have it. Lefikach, therefore, it's appropriate for them to refrain from what? From knitting, for example. Okay? She may not plan to do any big jobs on Rosh Chodesh. So I'm not sure what exactly is a big job, but anything that is out of the light housework. So let's define it. I guess ladies paint, they put up pictures, do other things like that. But that's what he's saying. Any big job, anything that's considered a big job. What he's differentiating is here between light housework and something that is a little bit more than light housework. I guess, if she wants to organize the closets, right, or the basement or something like that, that's more than light housework. I got to take everything out, put everything back in. That's the real avoida. I guess maybe that's what he's trying to say. And he says, meticulous woman, they're careful to stay away from sewing, knitting, fixing things in the house. You're painting, putting up, fixing something. But cooking, baking, and ironing, however, are permitted, as they are permitted on Chol Hamoed. Washing clothing and washing is also permitted because it's no effort, like Rabbi Chaim said. And you can even wash something by hand if it's needed for Rosh Chodesh. Now, what about if a woman works and she needs to bring home money?
Can go to
Can
work.
she go to work on Rosh Chodesh? Yeah, she can go to work on Rosh Chodesh. If she might lose her job, she doesn't have to lose her job because she doesn't want to work on Rosh Chodesh. So she could go to work. Okay, so far so good. So the woman should stay back from some work. What we define as anything past light house work. Yeah. If she needs the money, yeah. If she needs the money, yeah. If she doesn't need the money and it makes really no difference if she goes in or not to anybody, then she should refrain. But if it's going to make a difference that somebody needs it, something like that, she can work. Basically, it's coming out and saying that if she works, she's not required to take a day off from work for this minhag of not working on Rosh Chodesh by the woman. Okay? They can put their clothing into the washing machine or the dryer, clean the dishes, clean the house. And okay, so that's on that. While we're talking about Rosh Chodesh, we'll just mention two other things I got before we go into the next sugya here. Cutting hair and nails on Rosh Chodesh. So nails you can always cut, okay, as long as that's Shabbat Yom Tov. But you can cut nails. What about cutting hair? Meikar Hadin, a person is allowed to take a haircut on Rosh Chodesh. Meikar Hadin,
Really?
you're allowed to take a haircut on Rosh Chodesh.
Really?
All those people who refrain from taking a haircut on Rosh Chodesh are based on the tzva of Rabbi Yehuda HaChassid, the will of Yehuda HaChassid,
Right.
who states that person should not take a haircut.
No, also should not begalech
on or shave on Rosh Chodesh. However, Meikar Hadin, a person is allowed to take a haircut on Rosh Chodesh. What is the din with Sfirat HaOmer and this Rosh Chodesh coming up, Chodesh Iyar, and it's a Shabbat? So Ashkenazim, they take haircuts. They take. Sfaradim, we don't hold of that kula. Shouldn't take a haircut. Someone did. They don't know. It's fine. But we don't hold of that kula of taking it before the Erev Shabbat, which is also going to be Rosh Chodesh. Friday is Rosh Chodesh. But Mikar Adin, again, just knowing, Rosh Chodesh, you're allowed to take a haircut. So Yosef, if you ever get people coming to you haircuts on Rosh Chodesh, don't think bad about them. Mikar Adin, they're allowed to take a haircut. Okay? Sometimes some people plan taking a dafka on Rosh Chodesh because afterwards the barber gets very busy the next day. They want to have their own 40 minutes, every 45 minutes, and they want a complete job. They want a detailed job from the barber, so they don't want to go in when there's a busy day. So they go to Rosh Chodesh when it's available. Okay. Also, fasting is not permitted on Rosh Chodesh. Fasting is not permitted on Rosh Chodesh. If a person has a yard site on Rosh Chodesh, he should still not fast on Rosh Chodesh. He should fast on Erev Rosh Chodesh or the day after Rosh Chodesh. The only fast you can do on Rosh Chodesh is a Tanit Halom, right, for a bad dream. And then you have to make up that fast again afterwards. Fasted on Rosh Chodesh. Okay, let's leave that outside. All right, let's continue now in the halacha, and this is going to be the last sugya for tonight, of Ya'aleh ve'yavo. Saying Ya'aleh ve'yavo. Where do we say it in? We say it in the Tefillot, and we say it in the Birkat Hamazon. Where does this all come from? The Gemara in Masechet Shabbat. Tana Roshia said, Yom sheyesh ben korban musaf, and days of the korban musaf, Chodesh Chodesh Moed, Arvit Shachrit Mincha, Mitfal Shmona Esrei. But what do we say? And we mention the event during the bracha of avodah, the bracha of ritzeh. We say Yaleh ve'yavo. So that's where you're going to put it in, and that's the Gemara. The Shulchan Aruch says. Take a look at source 10 on page 31. Says the Shulchan Aruch. Avit shachitu mincha mitpalel 18 brachot. You say 18. The Omer Yaleh ve'yavo b'ritzeh, and you say Yaleh ve'yavo in ritzeh. Now, what happens if a person didn't say it? That's always the question. The guy didn't do what he's supposed to do. Ve'im lo amaro, and if he didn't say it by arvit, en machzerin oto. We don't make him go back. If he said 18 arvit, you don't go back. And then he says, ben sherosh chodesh yom echad, ben shehem bet yamim. Whether it's only one day Rosh Chodesh or 2 days. Right? Some people might think in the first night, okay, they only Mekadosh Chodesh in the morning. Right? So once I Mekadosh Chodesh in the morning, the second night, maybe if I forgot it then, I would have to go back. He says, no. Arvit, the klal is Arvit. Rosh Chodesh, Mis Yaleh Yavo, you don't go back. You don't go back. Why? Mipnei she'em mekadeshim ta'chodesh b'layla. We don't make Mekadosh Chodesh b'layla. Rami, if I'm reading the Shulchan Aruch, I'm understanding the Shulchan Aruch saying that 2 days of Rosh Chodesh is saying that each day is a possibility of being Mekadosh Chodesh. That's why it's a 2-day Rosh Chodesh. Right? Because Arvit, you don't make Mekadosh Chodesh, and in the morning you do. Or maybe you want to say he's making it a low plug, and maybe your question still stands. Okay. But if he didn't say Yaleh ve'yavo in Shachitu Mincha, machzarin oto, then he has to go back. We're going to see the exact frame and timeline. Says Shulchan Aruch, ve'im niskar kol m'she'etchil modim. If he remembered before he began modim, so he said, "Machzer shekinato l'tzion." He didn't yet start modim. Say, Omer b'mkom sheniskar. He can say it at this point. He can say Yaleh ve'yavo, because right after the bracha is still connected to the previous bracha. So he can say Yaleh ve'yavo. V'im lo niskar ad achashet chil modim. And if he doesn't remember until after he says modim, im niskar kodem she'ashlim tfilato. If he remembers before the last Yehilat Ratzon, right? Then Choser l'ritzeh, he goes back to ritzeh because he's middle of the tefillah. He always goes back to ritzeh. So once you said modim, anytime after that, anytime from modim to the second Yehilat Ratzon, if you remember, you didn't say Yaleh ve'yavo, you go back to ritzeh. Ve'im lo niskar ad she'yishlim tfilato. If you didn't remember until after the second Yehilat Ratzon, right? Now Choser l'Rosh. He has to go back to the beginning of Tefillah. V'imhu ragil lomar tacharonim achar tfilato v'niskar achar sheheshlim tfilato kodem sheyakor raglav Choser l'ritzeh. If you add in more, which he means really is Elokai Nitzar, like we say, right? Before you say the last Yehilat Ratzon, if you're saying Tefillot in that part, some people say She'er Ma'alot in there. Some people say Yehilat Ratzon from Rav. Some say other Yehilat Ratzons in there. So if you're saying anything in there up until the second Yehilat Ratzon, whatever you're saying, and you remember to that point, you can always go back to Ritzeh. But once you say Yehilat Ratzon, you have to go back to the beginning of Tefillah. Now the Ramah says an interesting part, and we're going to argue with this Ramah. We're not going to go with this Ramah, even though Ashkenazim don't go with the Ramah on this point. Says the Ramah, if he's not sure if he say Yalva or not, ain't tzarech l'chtar. He doesn't have to go back. We're going to see that's not the case, but that's the Ramah. Okay, so now the Sefer Ishei Yisrael is going to break down each case of the Shulchan Aruch, and they're going to explain to you ba'arichos. Shachach lemri al v'yavoy im haya came b'tfilat arvit shel Rosh Chodesh v'nizkel achar shemer Hashem shel siyum berachot ha'machzir shekin l'tzion ein chozer v'af k'shel Rosh Chodesh bet yamim. Okay, if he only remembers after he said Hashem, right before he said Hashem Tzion, says Yishay Yisrael, he should not say Lamdeni Chukecha. He should just continue and finish the Shmona Esrei. Here in Rabbi Nachshon Sefer, just to point out the difference over here, he writes, if an Arvit, one did not yet recite Hashem's name in the concluding bracha of Ritzeh, he should go back and recite Yalav Yavo. Once he has already said Hashem's name, one may no longer recite Yalav Yavo, but he must recite it before stepping backward at the end of Elokai Nitzor. Fine. So it says exactly like Dicha Yisrael. By Arvit, once I say Baruch Atah Hashem, don't say Lamdeni Chukecha and go back to say Yalav Yavo. No, you're going to end. That's it. You're going to continue with Modim. You're not going to add at that point. You can add it later on in Elokai Nitzor, all the other tefillot. You can throw Yalav Yavo in there, and if you finish the whole thing, you don't have to go back. By Arvit. I'm not talking Arvit. Fine.
What do you mean add? I don't understand.
What do we add? Okay, so let's look at the tefillah. So we get everybody's clear here. So I'm supposed to say Yalav Yavo in Ritzeh. It's Arvit. I said Ritzeh. I did not say Yalav Yavo. I get up to the bottom, to the end. Baruch Atah Hashem. I remember I didn't say Yalav Yavo.
That's it. Continue.
What do you do?
Continue.
Continue the bracha. During Shachrit, we're not going to do that. During Shachrit, we're going to tell you to say Lamdeni Chukecha and to go back and say Yalav Yavo. By Arvit,
Because Arvit is Arvit is
Arvit is you're not Mikash Chodesh about Arvit,
no,
so therefore you continue.
זה גם לא חובה, ערבית לא חובה. It's not a חובה, so that's why.
Why can't you say before Modim?
What he's saying, what's the issue?
What do you lose by?
What are you saying? So he's saying since you don't have to go back, you cannot add it in because it's not any more obligated in the tefillah. I think that's how I understand. It's not an obligation. Yeah, you don't go back for it, right? You don't say it. Right, so same thing. Okay, what's the next case? The guy forgot by Shachitu Mincha. Now, if he remembered before he ends Hamachzer Shechinato, right? He remembered before he completed the bracha, he should say Yalav Yavo.
Yeah.
And return if he's in the middle of the bracha, in Niskala Acher Tevat Hashem, he says Lamdeni Chukecha, and he says Yalav Yavo. Okay, by Shachrit and Mincha, if the guy said Baruch Atah Hashem, he didn't say Yalav Yavo, he changes it now to Lamdeni Chukecha. Because he has to put it in his tefillah. So he has to say it. So he says Lamdeni Chukecha. And then what does he do? So here I'm going to read it to Rabbi Nachshon. If he already recited the words Baruch Atah Hashem, he should finish with the words Lamdeni Chukecha. At that point, he may then return, recite Yalav Yavo, and continue according to the orders from Esrei. He just goes back to Yalav Yavo, and he continues because he's in the middle of the bracha of Ritzeh. He's still in the middle of the bracha of Ritzeh. So he says, Baruch Atah Hashem, Lamdeni Chukecha, goes back to Elokeinu Elokei Vateni Yalav Yavo, and then continues, and continue and finishes off the beracha. Okay? Lamdeni Chukecha, if I say Baruch Atah Hashem, and I remember to say Yalav Yavo, say Lamdeni Chukecha, go back to Yalav Yavo, and continue. Next. If he already began Modim, then where does he go back? He goes back to Ritzeh. Once I went past Modim, right? I can say it. If I said Tzion, I can say Yalav at this point. Yalav over here now. But if I already started Modim, now I have to go back to Ritzeh. To go back to the start of that bracha. And just say Yalav. I have to go back to the start of the bracha. I have to say Ritzeh. And if you already said, then what did he say? If you completed the tefillah by the last Tehillah Ratzon, then he has to go back to the beginning of the tefillah, and he starts with Amonai Sifatai Tiftach. Okay? If he finished the last Tehillah Ratzon by the Kainitzor, he would have to go back. If he knows he didn't say Yalav, he has to go back and start from the beginning of tefillah. Okay? Now, the Ramah said, if you are not sure, I said it or not, I'm a supik, you don't have to go back. That's what the Ramah said. Take a look at Isha Yisrael. We're on page 32. We're in halacha 19 over here. If one is uncertain whether he recited Ya'aleh v'yavo, says Isha Yisrael, tzarich lechzor v'litpalel. He has to go back and daven again. Unless he knew for sure, I had intention to say it. And only after tefillah he has a question. If he had it right away, the question that he should go back and daven. The question came 5 minutes after Shemona Esrei, right? I finished, and then a few minutes later, then Ein Chozer L'Yitpalel. So Shai Yisrael says it depends when I am mesupik, if I said it or not. Okay, if I'm mesupik right when I finish, then go back and daven. If I'm mesupik 5 minutes after, let's say this mashal, then a few minutes later, then we're telling him if you had proper kavanah that you knew it was Rosh Chodesh, you probably said it. You're just so not used to not saying it, but you probably said it, and therefore don't go back. That's what the Isha Yisrael says over here. Just going to read from Rabbi Nachson in the laws of the holidays. He writes, one who is uncertain if he recited Ya'aleh v'yavo in Shachrit or Mincha must repeat Shemona Esrei again, just as if he would forget to recite Ya'aleh v'yavo entirely.
So this applies to Rosh Chodesh and the holidays equally. That's what it seems to apply, because you just read generally. It doesn't say Rosh Chodesh. So this applies to Yom Shalosh Regalim as well?
If a person
The Ya'aleh
is
v'yavo in the Shalosh Regalim. This applies.
forgot or is mistupik?
No, I forgot Ya'aleh v'yavo in the prayer.
Yeah, he has to go back for sure.
For Rosh Chodesh and the Shalosh Regalim. It applies equally.
By
This law,
Shalosh
this
Regalim,
halachot.
even at Arvit. By Shalosh Regalim, even by Arvit, if I missed it, I have to go back. The only time I don't have to go back is Rosh Chodesh at night.
It. Thank you. Okay.
Yeah, but the tefillah only Rosh Chodesh at night, I don't go back. All the other tefillot, Ya'aleh v'yavo, I would have to go back. Here he's saying, Rabbi Nachson is saying, if I'm unsure, I should treat it as if I entirely forgot it. He's not bringing down this distinction of the Isha Yisrael if I had intention in advance and it's my right away I forgot versus forgetting mesupik afterwards. It doesn't bring that distinction. He says it's considered as if you didn't say it. Okay? What happens? A person prayed Shachit. He did not say Ya'aleh v'yavo in Shachit. And now he's up to Musaf. And now during Musaf, he realizes that during Shachit, I did not say Ya'aleh v'yavo. So Rami says, say Musaf, finish up what you're doing, and then say Shachit over again.
The saying over here should continue with Shacharit.
So it depends where he is in the Shemona Esrei of Musaf, where he's in the Lahash of Musaf. So if it's going to be, what? So depending where. Here, so I'm reading from Rabbi Nachson. If one began praying the Midah Musaf and realized he did not yet recite Ya'aleh v'yavo during Shachrit, he can continue praying the Shemona Esrei for Shachrit. If one remembered for the bracha of Ha'el HaKadosh. If one only remembered in the middle of Musaf, after starting Rosh Chodeshim, you cannot switch it to Shachrit. Right? So you have to finish Musaf, and then he will pray Shemona Esrei of Shachrit afterward. Okay? So if I'm the beginning of Shemona Esrei Musaf, it's the same as every other Shemona Esrei. So switch it to Shachrit, because I know I didn't say Shachrit yet. And then you'll say Musaf afterwards. But if I'm already in the middle of Musaf, right, and I'm in the middle of it, and now I realize I didn't say Shachrit, finish Musaf, and then repeat Shachrit afterwards. And he even brings over here, you should put your tefillin back on. Put your tefillin back on. You're going to say Shachrit again afterwards, because you forgot to say Ya'aleh for Shachrit, then Musaf, put your tefillin back on. And that's right, every time you're putting your tefillin back on, you're going to say with the bracha. Okay? If it's going to be after the Zman, that I can't pray Shachrit anymore, then I make Mincha twice. But if I'm still at a point where I can still pray Shachrit, then I just didn't pray Shachrit yet. My perhaps Shachrit was wrong. I have to say another Shachrit.
Doing the Musaf, but it doesn't cut it off, then you can't go back?
No. Nope. Halacha is you go back, put your tefillin back on, and pray Shachrit again. Pray the Shemona Esrei of Shachrit.
I forgot, I realized not to do with the Chodesh, okay, but I'm in Rashi, prayed Musaf, I realized I didn't put Rabbeinu Pan.
Yes, you can. There are those who say not to, but you can. You definitely can put on your tefillin random time afterwards if you didn't put it on in advance. And person who puts on tefillin every day by mincha can also put on tefillin by mincha. Although some say not to. Some say you shouldn't put on tefillin, but one can. One can. Let me card in one can.
And he answers the kedusha for the musaf, right? If he's praying shacharit after, he can answer the kedusha. The kedusha for musaf, which is
yeah,
different.
you can answer everything. You can pray
he
after that.
Okay, so it's
if
not
he still has time, yeah. You can still pray afterwards, right? Okay. Continues the Isha Israel. Oh, we did this part already. Okay. All right. Next. What? I don't have who it is, but we can look it up. Talks about. Oh, okay. He brings an interesting halacha over here. If the person, we're on page 33, halacha 23. One forgot to say Ya'aleh v'yavo, and he remembers when he has reached the end of the Amidah, but before the last Yehid Ratzon. So he can go back to Reitzeh. He wants to go back to Reitzeh, but now he hears Kedusha or Kaddish.
Ooh.
So if he's going to say the Yehid Ratzon, the last one, and start answering Kedusha and Kaddish, he's finished the Shemona Esrei, he's going to have to daven all over again. Should he not answer Kedusha or Kaddish and go back to Reitzeh and not have to start a whole new Shemona Esrei over again?
Why not? You can.
So he brings some yesh.
You can say first you let's say.
So
Bracha is worse.
yesh asoyim shelo yaneh lekdusha kedei she'achol lechzor l'reitzeh. So you should go back to Reitzeh and not have no Shemona Esrei. Ela yishtok ve'akshiv l'shiach tzibur. Listen to the shiach tzibur. Ve'yesh asoyim sherashai lanot lekdusha v'kadosh ve'achach yechzor l'reitzeh. So say no, you can answer and you can go back to Reitzeh afterwards. Halacha, Rabbi Nachshon brings down over here in the laws of the holidays. Want to realize that not recite Ya'aleh v'yavo, and he's in the middle of a L'kai Nitzor, should immediately return to Reitzeh. He should not answer to Kedusha if he hears the Hazan reciting Kedusha. He says he should not answer. He says not to answer anything. If you accidentally answer Kedusha, he should go back to the beginning of Shemona Esrei. And he should make a Tanai in his mind that he's praying with a Tanai Nidava. But so Rabbi Nachshon makes it clear, don't answer Kaddish Kedusha. Once you're answering, even before the second, even before the last Yehid Ratzon, once you're answering, you've left Shemona Esrei. That's what he said.
What about Shomaya Keone? Just have in mind the Chazan is Yirat Shamayim, and he has him in mind. That's
the general question of Shomaya Keone. If my Shomaya is Kohen, then I am saying it, and if I'm saying it, I'm stopping it, right?
So not stop, not even listen.
But some say no, it does work, right? Some say it does work, even if it's Shomaya Keone. It's like I'm saying, but I'm not actually saying it. So it's not actually a stopping of it. That's the famous Shomaya Koine. Is Koine mean I'm actually saying it? It's Koine as if I'm saying it. It's not the same.
Shomaya Koine only if you cannot
answer it. Right.
If you can answer, why not?
Okay. Okay, we have a few more cases, Rabotai. What happens as follows? Shulchan Aruch Harav. Someone made a mistake and did not recite the Amidah of Arvit on Rosh Chodesh. Now has to say two shachits. He didn't say it. It was Arvit, right? Arvit Rosh Chodesh. He forgot to pray. Didn't come around. Whatever happened. Now he has to pray two shachits. He says the first shachit with Ya'aleh v'yavo, which was for shachit. Then he says the second shachit, which is for Arvit, and he forgot to say Ya'aleh v'yavo. What?
Yetzei Chova.
He didn't pray Arvit. He now has to pray two shachits. It's Rosh Chodesh. First shachit, he said Ya'aleh v'yavo, like he's supposed to, and it's for shachit, so it works. Second shachit, which is for Arvit, he did not say Ya'aleh v'yavo. He forgot again. So is the Arvit, is the second shachit for Arvit, and Arvit I didn't say Ya'aleh v'yavo. If I missed it, I didn't have to, it's okay. Or the fact that I'm saying shachit twice, it's shachit. Exactly. Shachit requires Ya'aleh v'yavo. So if I didn't say Ya'aleh, it's nishket.
I think the second.
So
again.
the Shulchan Aruch Harav says, take a look. אבל עכשיו שמתפלל אותו ביום, צריך לחזור ולהתפלל. Since he's praying a shachrit tefillah, even though it's to make up arvit, he has to go back. However, if I remember correctly, Rabbi Nachshon put down the halacha a little bit differently. He wrote, if one needed to pray shachrit twice because he forgot to pray arvit the night before, and he forgot to say Avo in the second Shemona Esrei, which was intended to make up for arvit, puncher, he does not need to repeat the Shemona Esrei again. He brings this from the Yakut Yosef, B'Shem, the Hida, in Kesher Gudal, and the Hayei Adam, and the Or Letzion. David Yosef in Lacha Brura says, pray Shemona Esrei again, Tanai Nidava, with the Tanai of a Nidava. So it's a Machloket, Shulchan Aruch Harav, versus a lot of other Sfarim poskim. If I messed up the second Shemona Esrei, which is to make up the Avit, is it good or not? And Tzaddik poskim say it's fine. And the Shkazik poskim seem to be saying that you need to pray it again. So in all these things, I recommend you don't make the mistake in the first place. Take out your siddur, pay attention, and have kavanah before I start to pray. I know what I'm praying. I know what I'm doing. Right. Okay. What about in the Birkat Hamazon? Okay, Birkat Hamazon. Do we say the Ya'aleh V'Yavo there? There was a question in the Gemara. And the Gemara says, yeah, Paskins that yes, we hold it with the opinion to say Ya'aleh V'Yavo in the Birkat Hamazon. Says the Shulchan Aruch in source 14, Maskirin Ya'aleh V'Yavo b'Birkat Hamazon. V'im lo yomar. But if he didn't say it, ein machzirin oto. We don't send him back to repeat it. Why? Why we don't send him back to repeat it? Why don't have to be Birkat Hamazon? If I missed that on Rosh Chodesh.
It's not chiyuv. It's not obligatory.
There's no chiyuv seudah. There's no chiyuv seudah. You don't have to go back to repeat it. Only time you have to go back to repeat something is if it's a chiyuv seudah. If he remembers before he started the bracha v'atov v'hametiv, the next bracha, what does he do? He says, Baruch Shenatan Rosh Chodeshim Lamo Yisrael Zikaron. He's going to go ahead and say the bracha like a small version of a Ya'aleh V'Yavo as a bracha in that place, which is, by the way, also question, do I say it with Shem Hashem or not? Shulchan Aruch brings it. The Shulchan Aruch brings it without Hashem's name. Some say that's lav dafka. He just didn't put Hashem's name there, but actually the bracha is a bracha with Hashem's name. So it is a machloket. I'll take a look in a moment. Says Mishabura, the ein chiyuv le'echol pat b'Rosh Chodesh. Mimkein, if he comes to this question, I said because I didn't bench. He doesn't have to go back because there's no chiyuv over there.
The exception is only first night of Pesach in Sukkot.
Ken. That's correct. Next. Okay, the Shulchan Aruch Harav wants to say that if a person said the bracha v'atov v'hametiv and he didn't yet say Ya'aleh V'Yavo, Shulchan Aruch Harav doesn't want you to throw it into one of the rachamans, like we do. So if a person forgot Al Hanisim, he throws in the Al Hanisim into the harachamans at the end. He doesn't want you to do that for the Ya'aleh V'Yavo. So, B'kitzur Rabotai, just to review Kama Halachot, they came out. Oh, we already ran out of time. But give me just 1 second. One quick second over here, Rabotai. And time. Okay. One who realized he forgot to recite Ya'aleh V'Yavo prior to reciting the bracha of Bonei Yerushalayim should go back. So if I didn't yet finish up the third bracha of Birkat Hamazon, I should go back and recite Ya'aleh V'Yavo in its place. If one recited Baruch Atah Hashem, he said Hashem's name, but he didn't finish the bracha Bonei Yerushalayim yet, he should end with the words Lamdeini Chukecha. He should say Lamdeini Chukecha, and then he goes back to Ya'aleh V'Yavo. Okay? There is no difference in reciting Birkat Hamazon during the day or the night. So he's saying as follows: if I got to say Ya'aleh V'Yavo, I didn't yet finish the bracha, I go back and I say Ya'aleh V'Yavo. If I say Baruch Atah Hashem, I say Lamdeini Chukecha, and I go back and I say Ya'aleh V'Yavo. What? Birkat Hamazon. Anytime. If one recalled his error prior to beginning the bracha v'atov v'hametiv, he should say the bracha Baruch Shenatan Rosh Chodeshim Lamo Yisrael Zikaron without Shem Hashem. without Shem Hashem. Like the Shulchan Aruch brings it down. So any Sidurim that have Shem Hashem, according to other poskim, but according to Chamovaji and others, you don't say it with Shem Hashem. Fine. Okay, I would say this is a lot of halachot.
Yeah.
B'ezrat Hashem, next time we start with Birkat HaLevana. And when it starts, when it ends, and everything like that, it's a very big sugya. B'ezrat Hashem, we should be zocheh to see that sugya as well. Yeshanu minyan?
Thank you, Rabbi. Thank you.